I had one of those guys there looking at me saying in a meeting that night, which we haven't been able to have because of all this coronavirus, I truly and honestly, in my heart of hearts, feel like I would not have picked up a bottle that night.
Well,
does that make sense to you?
It
I mean,
does.
Can you understand it? I'm trying to explain it from a civilian's point of view also.
Well, yeah, and I understand the circumstances and the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, but the bottom line is it did happen. It is what it is, and I see what you're saying with, man, I wish there was more options, and the only way you can sit back and say, man, I wish there was more options is to physically create those options. I created this podcast. Right. I created 217 Recovery. That's a company that's going to help people. That keeps me on the path. You know, I found something that I knew that I was passionate about. I was in radio for 20 years. I'm a professional radio broadcaster, and I love helping people. So those two things worked out great.
Perfect. That's exactly the message I want to convey.
Yep. And you can find that, and you know, you kind of have a
but
path
you gotta
of
look.
what
and
you
got to know where to look.
Well, you got to create
know when to look. And that's what I'm going to do.
You should know this more than anybody, Jamie.
Literally.
You know, like you can sit back and wait for someone else to do it, but you're going to wait a long time, and it's not going to be what you had even envisioned. And sometimes you just got to put on the big boy pants and go, okay, I'll start it. And I think you have no problem with that. You know, you've been through a lot of hard stuff.
The one thing about me that you know is that not only can I be, you know, the roughest, toughest guy in the world, I can also be the most sensitive guy. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're doing right now. That's what we're doing with 217. I believe that's what we're going to do with Brutal Honesty. Mm-hmm. It's going to be the thing where you just can say, I'm done. And I need this. I need to talk to you today. I needed to talk to you today. Honestly, I needed to talk to you yesterday to not have a drink. And the other thing for veterans, the tough thing is that they fill us up with drugs at the VA. You know, just shush. If you're quiet, promise you'll have this prescription next year. You know, again, we talked about last week or last time I was on is that you can manipulate pretty good to get the drugs that you need. And then you can tell yourself, and we can tell everybody else, we're not addicts. We're not addicted to these things because we got them the quote-unquote right way. Do you remember that day that you and I were talking and you gave me that thing and I had that epiphany? Do you remember that?
You can refresh my memory if you want.
We were in that room, that first room down there. I believe Alan may have just pissed on your pillow. You were pretty upset about, and just in case anybody's wondered, Alan's my dog, my service dog.
That's stupid dog.
But we just laid back, and obviously you were in your bed, I was in mine. And I said, man, I don't understand why the VA won't step in and give me my pills. And you said to me, that's how addicted you are right now, is that you want to manipulate the system that you checked into, and you can't have those pills. And you called me out. Again, that all goes back to brutal honesty, because I could not get the pills I wanted at that time. And that's how a lot of us veterans are right now. So it's this bad, man. I know you guys don't think that we can fake stuff or be charismatic enough, but we can get what we want, because the VA now isn't giving those pills out unless you have cancer. But there's a choice now, a choice program that you can go to a pain doctor out here away from the VA, and you can tell them that, yeah, I need, not want, I need my painkillers because I hurt. So the VA essentially is like, sweet, this guy's not coming back into the VA, to the the C box is what most of us call them, but the external doctor's office, and asking, they're going to this other guy, and the guy's writing them a strip, and we'll pay for it all day as long as we don't have to do it.
Right.
Because now the VA looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't give it to them; they did. And so the C box or these outlets, these extensions, these fingers. Anybody that's a veteran will know what I'm saying, will understand. But then you can get the pills there. And that's the horrible thing about that, Corey, is that the veterans, being what we are, we have a code of honor, and we think it's okay. It's okay because they sell alcohol in a store. It's okay because they give us our painkillers in a doctor's office. This guy's name says doctor on it.
Right.
You know, and so we're not feeling like we're doing anything wrong. And that's the worst part about it, is when you know you're messed up, is you don't, there's no excuse, because you didn't buy heroin yesterday off the street. You didn't buy crack from a crack dealer. You didn't buy, what's that shit those guys talk about all the time, meth. You didn't buy meth from a meth dealer, or ice, or whatever they call it. So you make an excuse that it's okay. And again, it's not, you know.
Mm-hmm. And then
it's just not.
They can blame it on the system too. With, well, there's why I have to go buy heroin.
Isn't that so convenient?
It's because they cut me off. It's the doctor's fault for not giving it to me now. So that's why I went and then I started shooting it up, and I realized, wow, that's amazing, and that's so much better. And now I shoot up crack cocaine. I shoot up whatever I can get.
You'd never hear a veteran say that. You'd hear him blame the start of it. You would never say, man, I took this and it was the best thing ever. You'd hear a veteran say, hey, a doctor gave it to me. Why are you telling me that it's wrong?
Well, there's a veteran I know that said that.
Oh, once you get into the dirty drugs, I agree.
Okay, but
I agree. Well, what are you saying? Well, I'm saying when I was getting it legally, and I hope you're talking about me. I don't know if you are, but when I was getting it legally, I was on the straight and narrow. It was essentially given to me. I think I had to pay $3 for the prescription for the month. So when it was brought to my eyes that the pills I was taking were actual narcotics and I was addicted to them, that was a tough day.
Mm-hmm. But it could have played out way different for you if you all of a sudden couldn't go get the pills. You could say, like you said, you can't get them at the VA anymore, really, unless you have cancer. So you go to the pain doctor or whatever, and he says, nah, man, all I got is some ibuprofen for you. And then you're talking to another buddy about this, and he's like, hey, I know a guy who sells pills. And you're like, well, I want to go see this guy. You go see that guy, and he's like, okay, and he gives you some, and then you realize, man, this is getting real expensive. And you go see him again, and you're kind of giving him some shit, like, man, this is hurting my wallet. And he's like, whoa, you want a cheaper high? This is and it's better. This is what you do. This is what you need. So just snort these, And you're like,
not a high.
Okay.
It's a painkiller.
I know, but it becomes that's quicker and faster, and I like that. And it's a slippery slope. And I know I've done things that I said I would never do when I was drinking. I'm never gonna do meth. I'm never gonna do heroin. I'm never gonna do coke. I'm never gonna do any of these things. I don't think I ever said that about acid, but I said I was never gonna do all these drugs, and then I did them when I was drunk. Which leads me to something else I want to talk about real quick before we get back into the pain meds and stuff.
I know we're jumping all over the place. I hope you can edit some of this because we've hit about 30 different categories because things jump in our brains. But go ahead.
Okay, so I was taking this defensive driving class the other day online for 4 hours, which was hell. Right. So in that, it starts talking about alcohol and the effects and this and that. And how you lose your license and do all this when you get behind the wheel and this and that, and how alcohol, what did they say? I want to quote them, but I don't remember how it was stated exactly. But it pretty much impairs your judgment. So if it impairs my judgment, I don't know. It just made me think about all the people that get arrested and taken in for DUI and OWI and all that. And sure, they shouldn't be driving, but to just throw them in jail, I mean, clearly they have a problem. And when they got behind the wheel, their judgment was not 100%. Okay, this is the same justice system, we'll just use that word very loosely, that if you have intercourse with a man, let's just say Jamie, and that man is under the influence of alcohol, well, you can go to jail because that person doesn't have their judgment with them. Now, you go to jail for having that same judgment. I don't know. None of it really made sense. Like, I get that we should not be drinking and driving. I get that. It's very dangerous. But at the same time, we're not offering people help. We're just throwing them in jail and making them pay money. Again, the guilt, the shame never stopped me. Paying somebody money never stopped me. So I don't understand why and how this has been happening for so long that people just accept it. This is our country. This is our society. Do you want to throw away the key to your son and daughter? Like, say your daughter gets a OWI or your son gets OWI. You don't want to just lock them up, throw away the key, and you've been a bad boy. No, they were impaired. They didn't get behind the wheel because they thought it was a great idea. They, it's just so baffling. And a lot of times, those people that just start drinking don't think, hey, anything. They just think, hey, I feel kind of good right now. They're not feeling like we are 20 years after, drinking. If we get pulled over that next morning on the way to the liquor store, I guarantee you we're going to blow like some crazy numbers. But yet we're really not that impaired. At least that's what I would think.
Right. In our situation, we wouldn't be. Do you remember when I come and begged you for some help last year after I relapsed?
Yeah.
And you were like, hey, I think you better take a breathalyzer. You're driving. And I was like, yeah, fuck that. You're like, hey, I see it. I don't think you've been drinking, but you have been. I use this story a lot in what I try to express to other people. In order to be a leader, you've got to put yourself out there and let them know how vulnerable you are. And I've said this, I'd say I've shared this story 50, 60 times, is that when you had me take that breathalyzer, I remember very specifically, I blew a .28.
Yeah.
And I remember the look on your face, and you were like, what? And I was like, man, I haven't drank since maybe this morning or whatever. You're like, this is how you're walking around. This is really how you're walking around, man. You're walking around at a .28, which would kill some people.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how deep you get into alcoholism and the saturation that the alcohol does to your body.
Mm-hmm. Because the way we drank, alcohol, it can only leave your body so fast. And, I mean, you and I both know.
Are you driving, bro? You're breaking up.
It starts. Am I driving?
What's going on with your phone? You there?
Yeah, I'm not driving, Jamie. I'm in my studio.
I don't know. You started sounding like a robot, bro.
Oh, I think it's your phone. You got Sprint service?
No, I got AT&T.
Yeah, same
hey,
thing.
Throw it out there for those guys.
But
they owe us money.
But no, the way we drink too, though, it comes out of our pores even because it can't leave the body fast enough, and our livers are pretty much trash. It can't process the alcohol even the same rate. So that's why we have the higher numbers. Like I would go to the hospital and blow like a .59 something, and they'd be staring at me like, "Oh my God!" And the judge, when they read my numbers to him, he's like, "Most people in this room would be dead right now if we had that." And I'm like, eh. But that's the scary part of the alcoholism. And as I was talking earlier, I don't think I got to finish it, but when people